Hi, so tonight I want to talk about World of Warcraft. And I've been playing World of Warcraft since 2010, and it really got me through some dark times. When I was a teenager, I had severe depression and anxiety, and at one point I was playing World of Warcraft for 16 hours a day. I wasn't even that good at the game, but that is an irrelevant fact that we don't have to gloss or we don't have to look at all. But anyway, over the years, as I was playing WoW, I started to become more and more upset by sensory stimuli. And sensory stimuli has actually been difficult for multiple parts of my life. Whistling, chewing, smacking, pen clicking, like flailing, any kind of leg movements. Those all cause a fight-flight reaction. And these disorders are called misophonia and misokinesia. However, research really hasn't vetted out if they're part of the same disorder yet. It is still growing, and I've been an advocate for this disorder since 2015. Wow. And for me, it's been really tough dealing with the fact that something that I used to love so much, that used to bring me so much comfort and joy, now causes me pain. And I understand that it's not the developer's fault that this happened. But I do want to suggest a few accessibility tips that could make World of Warcraft and other games easier for people with misophonia, SPD, autism, other sensory disorders or visual disorders, and auditory, of course. And I think a lot of people don't realize just how abrasive these noises and visuals can be. I understand that it is a game, it's a multiplayer game, and there's always going to be some level of interaction. But that said, with some tweaks and adjustments, this game can be more accessible. And I do want to commend Blizzard for making changes and lowering the amount of spell effects that people have to see. That is amazing. That is great. It's not everything, but it is a significant step. I do want to kind of walk back just a second because I noticed that this only really applies to retail, and I understand that classic is a different experience, but I'd really like to play it, and I'm just a little sad that these options don't exist. However, I still commend them for trying. Now, the following are some of the accessibility concerns that I have with my disorders. And a lot of it is other players bunny hopping / jumping, the chewing, whistling, clicking, metalwork sounds, a plethora of spells, including my own. I stopped playing my paladin. I can no longer play my priest because her heals just drive me crazy. Her flash heals, I'm actually going to put it up on screen now. Every second, just the whenever I see that, I have tightening in my chest. It feels like someone's wrapping themselves around me and like I'm short of breath because my fight flight has activated. And it's the same for a lot of these other things, especially the bunny hopping, which I used to do. I used to love doing that. So I understand that these are just player behaviors, and I get it. But it can be so hard for people like me, and I'm sure other disorders, maybe even some that haven't been mentioned. And a lot of bursts of light, the shaman's element shields. Oh my god, I can't even be near a shaman. A lot of warrior effects, demon hunters, monks, spinning features like mills, which those ones, it sucks, but I can at least semi-avoid it. So one thing I want to mention is that the implementation of CRZ servers was really hard on people like me who had always chosen smaller servers. Lightning Hoof, which was quite small, then became Maelstrom, Emerald Dream, which aren't completely linked, but we still see them, the Venture Co. And this made it really hard because I was always in a populated area, where for most of my WoW career, I would just hang around in low pop areas and never see people. But now with CRZ, it pulls in people even if you're in an area without people, so that you always see others. And honestly, it was really hard to get used to. I have server transferred to the smaller realms in the game, and I still ended up with Emerald Dream. Spent a lot of money trying to get away from people, which was on me. I spent the money, but it was really hard. And a good solution for this would be to have small servers which are not linked with any, just one or two, even only a couple, because there's not a lot of people who would need that smaller environment. People with really bad social anxiety might enjoy a laid-back experience as well. And I mean, this used to exist. The game used to have smaller servers. Another thing that could really help is the ability to choose groups of sounds more specific than just effects, music, player voice, etc. Because certain sounds are noxious, like eating, chewing, whistling. However, this doesn't mean that all sounds are bad. So right now, the only way to deal with misophonia sounds in the game is to just turn off all effects sounds, which means that you're missing out on a lot of valuable parts of the game. And two things that I would really love to see in the game, even though I know they might be hard, is either one, to remove all players visually in PvE. Of course, I understand PvP is a different game, and that is so hard to work with. But for PvE, it would be nice if we could just hide other players, do our thing, still enjoy the game, still opt into raids and dungeons if we want, but be able to explore most of the WoW content without having to be in those environments that are really hard, because the bunny hopping, the spells, etc. It's just really hard. Which leads me to more advanced spell hiding. Yes, it's great how many were turned off. However, there are still some spells that are really abrasive, and I have characters of my own that I don't play since spell effects were updated, and now they trigger me. Like my paladin and my priest, whom I used to play, but over time the effects changed and now I can't play them. And I get that effects are a visual part of the game, but not everyone would have to play that way, and very few people would use the setting, but having it would make our lives so much easier. And on that note, one thing that I think would be really cool is if you could see the ghosts of other players, like just an outline or a shadow where they are relative to you. Therefore, you know people are there, you know where they are. However, you don't have to see them jump, see their spell effects, so on and so forth. That one I was really inspired by the corgis in the game. There's a toy that changes NPCs and other players into corgis, and I've actually kind of abused that a little bit so that I didn't have to see people. And look, I understand that at the end of the day, this is still a game, it's still Blizzard's game, it cannot be accessible for everybody. However, these are some things that would really make my life easier. I would jump up and down for joy, honestly. And all I can do is raise awareness to this point, and hopefully someday games will become more accessible.